Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Please leave a like so this video is recommended to others. Now, with that out of the way, let's see what we got today. And we are live.
Cameras and the birds. So here I am scrolling through and I see, what is that? Bird camera program? Alright. What is the literal first sentence? Technical collection team has been formed to demonstrate the operational utility of the avian asset. As a part of this effort, a new bird camera has been designed, which weighs less than the old one, and which uses a 16mm film with motion compensation instead of the 9mm size. So we were doing this like way back in the day in 1976 when we were still using film. And so I continue scrolling down and they continued this. This was something they updated multiple times and continued to fund. Just in 1976, or from when I can find these documents, they funded almost $1 million into this program. And you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me that they couldn't do similar stuff today? Look at that camera. That's obvious. This was in the 70s. And I'll leave you with something else that might give you some spooks. This article in Redacted is factually reliable and presents a reasonable picture of some aspects of the field of electrical brain stimulation from the layman's point of view. After our experiments at the Redacted had demonstrated the practical feasibility of electrical brain stimulation as a guidance technique. And that would be all well and good until you scroll down to the bottom of this last page. We feel we are close to having debugged a prototype system whereby dogs can be guided along specific courses through land areas out of sight and at some distance from the operator, the purpose being to completely redacted. And then we get down to this bottom sentence. Dr. Redacted is taking appropriate action to exploit our knowledge in this area and provide adequate background for the development of future agency applications in the general areas of influencing human behavior, indirect assessment, and interrogation aids. So I will leave you with that. The birds work for the CIA, and this was on the first couple pages. The first couple pages I opened. I've been on here for 30 minutes.
Never look at a pigeon the same way again, eh? Interesting.
There's definitely been conspiracies that have been put together and executed. And these conspiracies have greatly affected the American people. Another one that they were planning on was Operation Northwoods.
Yes.
Operation Northwoods was one that they were planning on blowing up a drone jetliner and blaming it on the Cubans. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and have them attack Guantanamo Bay. They were going to sacrifice American troops and American lives. And they were going to do this in order to get people to be excited about a war with Cuba.
Yeah.
This is a real thing that was signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It was released by the Freedom of Information Act, and it was vetoed by Kennedy. So we know that there were people, at least in 1962, that were planning on shit like this.
Yeah.
So that's a real thing. And the idea that that just went away and no one does that anymore.
It's crazy.
I don't believe that. I think there's most certainly evil people in all fucking sectors of life.
I would agree, 100%. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
If you think the Book of Enoch is interesting, wait until you hear the Book of Giants. The Book of Giants was discovered in 1947 in the Dead Sea Scrolls discovery. The manuscript is dated to the 2nd century BC at the earliest, but could be much older. The same narratives as mentioned in the Book of Enoch of the fallen angels, their corruption of mankind, and their destruction through the flood of Noah is mentioned all throughout the Book of Giants. The scroll was found deteriorating, leaving only fragments of text, but the pieces of text we do have hold incredible information. The Book of Giants describes in great detail the fallen angels corrupting the genetics of all flesh that was on the earth. It tells us specifically in one of the fragments, fragment 1Q23 1 plus 6, 200 donkeys, 200 asses, 200 rams of the flock, 200 goats, 200 beasts of the field. From every animal, from every bird, were selected for miscegenation. Miscegenation refers to the mixing of races or species, particularly in the context of sexual intercourse. The next text that follows makes it absolutely clear that this wasn't referring to different species breeding with each other, but actual cross-species genetics involving the seed of the fallen angels themselves. It's important to notice that giants and monsters are referred to in unique, distinct references. We know from Genesis 6:4 that when humans and angels mated together, that the offspring they produced was giant humans, half human, half fallen angel. Fragment 4Q5312. They defiled, they begot giants and monsters. They begot, and behold, all the earth was corrupted. Through this we can come to the conclusion that these fallen angels were breeding with animals, and their offspring would be half animal and half fallen angel and very large in size. This reality would make sense with all the ancient depictions of monsters and creatures. Maybe those creatures weren't figments of their imagination, but actual half-human, half-fallen angel monsters roaming the earth. These beings maybe could have even held the capacity to think and reason just like the giants could. We know that giants have the capability to hold conversations because of the account of Goliath challenging and enticing the armies of Israel in 1 Samuel 17, 8-10. A fragment of the Book of Giants also confirms some of these monsters having the ability to reason and communicate, when some of the giants had dreams of their destruction and shared these dreams with the monsters. Fragment 4Q530, column 2. Thereupon two of them had dreams, and the sleep of their eyes fled from them, and they arose and came to, and told their dreams, and said in the assembly of their comrades, the monsters. These monsters didn't hold the same connection to the fallen angels as the giants. The Book of Giants and the Book of Enoch describes the fallen angels' close connection to their children, the giants. Whereas these monsters were their offspring, they weren't cared for as deeply by the fallen angels as the giants were. Here's a verse from the Book of Enoch. And inasmuch as they, the watchers, delight themselves in their children, the giants, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity. The Book of Giants, fragment 4Q530, fragment 7. The children of angels are the giants, and they would not let their loved ones be neglected. All throughout the Book of Giants, the giant children offspring of the fallen angels and humankind were having ominous dreams of their destruction. One of the giants has a dream of a tablet with many names submerged under water, and when lifted from the water only 3 names remained. This dream symbolizes the destruction of all the unpure fallen life forms on the earth through the flood of Noah. The great flood of Noah now makes sense. Noah, his family, and the animals that were brought onto the ark were brought on not because of their righteousness, but because the rest of creation had been corrupted by the fallen angels and their genetic manipulations.
Here we go. Here's another one. You will not believe what this man says about meat.
2 examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, you know, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So
there it is, the hypocrisy. The elitists, academics, intellectuals, oh, they know they're exempt from this. But you and I, the peasants of the world, eat your worms. Eat that delicious mealworm burger. It's coming.
some people are intolerant to crayfish, so possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine plant life. There's this thing called the long-star tick, where if it bites you, you will become allergic to meat. Possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Wait, did you hear what he just said? Yes, he said that. Let's genetically modify you so that you won't like the taste of the God-given meat on this planet that is here to nourish your body.
But forget using words like creepy or crawly to describe the dishes they're plating up at the University of Adelaide.
People often assume that what they might taste like is kind of this insect, and that's often something that's a bit squishy and squelchy and not too appetizing.
Researchers want to change that, frying, roasting and dehydrating insects to be included in an everyday diet.
Like, this is the system they are building. It's going on right now while they have people distracted with bullshit that does not matter. They are putting the system in place to totally enslave humanity. Anything that you do will be tracked. They will have control over the food.
You know, as a carnivore, that frightens me big time.
Where did they go? Well, they didn't go anywhere. They're all around us in this post-apocalyptic realm of ours. It is hard to grasp the whole picture of our realm when we stand in the shadows of a much larger past. And we are no more than mere ants, standing on top of our anthill, thinking we truly know the world around us. They intentionally took out the best parts of this story and the history they told us of our realm. But the best part of our stories are yet to come. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Interesting.
The mystery of ancient civilizations not taught to us in school. Number 1, Baalbek, Lebanon. In this site is some of the largest megalithic architecture ever found. Some of these stones are as much as 2,000 tons. Yet somehow they managed to get all the way over to these ancient ruins. Next to the Temple of Jupiter, we find these 3 incredibly massive stone blocks. As you can see here, they're literally lifted 30 feet off the ground. Like, just compare this guy to those blocks. Oh, and not to mention the 7 base stones below that, each of which weigh 400 tons. Now, mainstream archaeology says all of this was built by the Romans, despite the fact that their strongest crane could literally only lift 7 tons, which means they would need 150 of these to carry one of those blocks. But you can't even fit 150 cranes around one of the blocks, let alone carry them. And keep in mind, this site shows signs of habitation going as far as 9,000 years. So, who built this?
Did you know that beekeepers have the longest life expectancy amongst any other profession? And the reason for this is going to blow your mind, so stick around. Now, when bees jump from flower to flower, absorbing the sun's energy and pollinating, they actually start to emit a healing frequency that not only reverses disease, but also heals on an energetic level. Beekeepers often talk about this Zen energy or a meditative state of mind while doing their job. And if that's not mind-blowing enough, it is proven that sleeping above a beehive will give you many health benefits. And there's also a therapy called beehive air inhalation, which has stunned scientists to this day by reversing disease and also giving many other health benefits. It's also good to note that a jar of honey is the only food that will not rot. It is edible for over 3,000 years. And some bees even build their hive in a perfect Fibonacci sequence, which is the mathematical sequence of this universe. All in all, bees are absolutely incredible creatures, so please do your part to protect them. We need them in our lives. Peace and love.
That is absolutely fascinating. With the air, breathing the air. Crazy, I never knew that.
Okay, guys, so we found this weird looking little spider thingy in the garage, and
right? Nothing.
when you type
over here, look. Every time I touch my phone, it freaking
tap it crazy,
moves.
tap it crazy.
Look, look, look. But yet, I'm tapping the table and nothing. And then I go here on my phone and I touch the camera. It's like if it feels what I'm touching on
stop.
the camera.
Okay, go. Ooh, that is so weird.
Dude, how and why?
Ew.
Oh my gosh, what is it?
There is a clear reason why most of the skies we see from the old world are whited and bleached out, and the occasional ones that aren't are littered with these airships. It is because, much like many other things in history, they attempt to cover it up. The cover up of free and uninhibited travel. The reason why we have so many spires and empty bell towers. These were the old mooring stations, docking stations of the old world. This form of travel has been around a lot longer than we thought, and it could not be so easily regulated and controlled like the aircraft travel of today. Research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends.
100%.
I don't know if y'all have heard this or not, but there's a theory now that states that Africa is pretty much within driving distance of Arizona, the Grand Canyon. Yes, you heard me right. And when I heard this, I was like, what? There's no way. But the more I researched it, I'm like, so let's get into it. This is the Pangea map. And this is a map of the world pre-continental drift, which basically shows us that Africa is right next door to North America. So would it be that far off to think that there's a highway to Africa from Arizona? I don't know. Let's look at this.
We have been lied to. WTF, bruh.
Oh, there's more.
They say you can access Africa through the Grand Canyon. I think I found it.
The Grand Canyon is a portal. Shit, the Grand Canyon, bro. That shit. There's a whole civilization living under you.
Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's definitely interesting. What do you think? Let me know below.
I've heard this theory before. Maybe got to do a deep dive into it, but that's the last one. That's all I got today, guys. Certainly some interesting topics to discuss today, so if you want, like I say, just drop a comment below. We'll get into it. I'd love to discuss each and all these with you, so just let me know. And with that, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Till then, 80 Canadian, signing off.